The room stank of burnt ozone and blood. Alien soldiers laughed in a tongue that no human voice could copy, sharp and metallic, like broken glass grinding on steel. Inside the ruined research station, they stood over human bodies, poking at the remains like children bored with their toys. "Legends," one of them rasped through a translator box, kicking over a shattered helmet. "The humans love their little stories. Heroes, gods, invincible soldiers, lies." Another, broader and scaled in dark armor, picked up a blood-stained data tablet and tapped it. A hologram flickered to life. Images of Earth's old war icons. Captain Sienna Cortez, who once held a Martian front against 10,000 enemy bots. The ghost of Tokyo, a cyber assassin said to have vanished mid-air after slitting a prime minister's throat. And beneath them all, the shadowy profile of Project Revenant, a Black Ops unit that vanished 10 years ago without a trace. Legends, all of them, or so the galaxy believed. "Their stories end here," the scaled one sneered, "just like their species." But in the shadows of the broken command room, a weak cough broke the silence. The alien soldiers froze. Then, with a unified hiss, they turned toward the sound. A cracked support beam had fallen across the floor near the server stacks. Under it, bloodied and burned, a single human soldier lay twitching. His eyes were barely open, chest heaving shallowly. A smaller alien stepped forward, weapon raised. "Survivor, should I terminate?" The scaled leader motioned for silence and approached. He crouched beside the man, scanning his vitals with a wrist-implanted device. "Barely alive. What were you trying to protect here, human?" he asked, more amused than curious. The man coughed again, a smear of blood trickling down his chin. His name patch was half burned, but the letters JAX could still be read. "You think?" "It's over," Jax whispered, his voice like gravel. "You think we're just stories?" The alien gave a barking laugh. "You are stories, and your story ends here. Earth will fall just like your outposts." Jax smiled. It was a weak, broken thing, but there was something chilling in it. "They're real," he whispered. The alien frowned. "What?" "The legends. The revenants. They're not gone." Laughter erupted from the others, echoing harshly through the wrecked facility. "Another lie," one spat. "The humans keep their myths warm while they die." But Jax's smile widened as a tear slipped from his eye. Not sadness. Something else. Pride. Maybe even triumph. "You should have left us alone," he rasped. Suddenly, the server room lights flickered. Then the emergency red strobes snapped to blue, an override no one had touched. A mechanical whirring sound came from the far end of the base, followed by a low hum like a beast waking up. Every alien turned toward it, weapons raised. "What is that?" the leader growled. Jax's eyes closed. His final breath escaped his lips like a prayer. "They're here." The lights went out. Then the screaming began. The base plunged into darkness. Not just a power outage, something more, something worse. Even alien tech, tuned to detect in the infraspectrum, couldn't cut through the black. The scaled commander barked orders. "Switch to biovision, defensive formation." But the younger soldier, the one who had mocked the legends, was already gone. One moment he stood scanning the darkness. The next, his body hit the floor with a sickening crack. No scream, no struggle, just gone. The others spun toward the sound. They fired blindly, streaks of violet plasma lighting up the gloom in quick flashes. And in each burst, something moved between the pulses, fast, silent, and wrong. Not quite visible. Not quite there. "Contact! I saw—" Another alien shouted, but his voice cut off mid-sentence. Something thudded to the ground beside the commander. A helmet, black, featureless, matte-finished, rolled to a stop at his feet. Human-made, still warm. He felt something ancient crawl up his spine. Fear, yes, but deeper than that. A recognition he didn't understand. A primal whisper in the mind that screamed, "Predator! Fall back!" he snarled. "Fall back to the dropship!" They moved as one, disciplined but shaken. As they reached the exit corridor, they found the door sealed. Not by damage, by lockdown. The same small alien from before slammed its clawed hand against the console. "It's been manually overridden, from inside." "Impossible. No one's alive," another snapped. But they were wrong. From the vent above them, something dropped without a sound. It didn't attack immediately. It just stood there, outlined dimly in the glow of emergency lights flickering back on. Not fully, just enough to show its silhouette. A human. Or something that used to be one. Tall, armored head to toe in a suit of black armor with glowing blue veins running like cracks through stone. No insignia, no identification, no eyes behind the visor, just the chilling hum of something alive beneath cold metal. The commander raised his weapon. "Identify yourself!" The figure tilted its head slightly, like it was confused why anyone would speak. Then it moved. In less than a second, one alien lost its weapon arm, blood spraying the walls like a red mist. Another was pinned to the ceiling with a blade humming with white energy, vibrating at a pitch that shattered nearby glass. "Retreat!" the commander howled. But there was no retreat. The vents above them hissed, then cracked open one by one. Shadows poured out. More figures, armored, silent, inhuman in speed, human in intent. The revenants. They were supposed to be dead, disbanded, disgraced. Nothing but myths passed around Earth's colonies to keep morale high. But here they were, not just one, all of them. One by one, the aliens were dismantled, not killed in rage or panic, but methodically, efficiently, like a tactical exercise. The commander fought back. He was no rookie. He sliced one of the revenants across the chest. Metal screeched, sparks flew, but the figure didn't even flinch. Instead, it grabbed his blade and crushed it in one hand. "You should have believed him," the revenant's voice growled through a modulated mask, deep and cold. "Jax warned you." With a final slam, the commander's body hit the wall hard enough to crack the plating. He slid down, dazed, coughing his strange blood. Around him, the bodies of his squad were scattered like broken dolls. And then, silence. The revenants didn't speak. They didn't cheer. They just stood there, staring at the last alien alive. The commander laughed, choking. "You think this means anything? The war's already won. Earth will burn." A revenant stepped closer. "Not if we burn first." Then the lights went dark again, and he screamed. Hours later, the smoke still hadn't cleared. A rescue beacon finally pinged from orbit, picked up by a patrol vessel belonging to the Zarketh Dominion, one of the alien empires leading the invasion against Earth and her colonies. The patrol ship touched down cautiously, scanners running full-spectrum sweeps. The soldiers aboard were elites, trained to handle human resistance cells and rebel insurgents, but nothing could prepare them for what they found inside. The base was drenched in silence. Not a sound. Not a single energy signature. No plasma residue from weapons. Just the smell of charred metal, blood, and something even more unsettling. Ozone mixed with burnt flesh and melted armor. The squad split into pairs as they moved cautiously down the corridors. The commander of this unit, Captain Varnak, was older, experienced. He'd been part of the initial campaigns against the Martian colonies. He'd seen humans resist, even bite back hard. But they always lost. Always, This felt different. As his boots crunched over broken glass and debris, he saw his first real sign of what happened. A body, but not human. One of their own, a scout, skinned alive, pinned to the wall with a blade not of human or alien make, something in between. Primitive, yet advanced. Organic, almost. It was still humming. "Report," Varnak growled into the comms. "How many bodies so far?" "8, sir," came the voice of Lieutenant Krell. "No survivors, no hostiles." "Any humans?" "Negative." That was wrong. This base had been under human command just 12 hours ago. There should have been dozens of them. Scientists, engineers, security forces. Instead, they'd found no signs of human life. And yet, there was blood. Plenty of it. Some definitely human. But no bodies. "Sir," another voice came in, shaky. "You should see this." Room 7, Gamma Varnak cursed under his breath and made his way there. When he entered, even he stopped cold. The walls were covered in symbols, drawn in some of the human blood. Rough, chaotic, but repeated. Over and over. "We are still here." The same phrase, again and again. Carved, written, burned into surfaces. And in the center of the room was a pile of alien armor. Not destroyed, arranged, like a warning. But that wasn't the worst of it. The lieutenant pointed to the far wall. Embedded in the metal, in deep gouges that must have taken inhuman strength, were 3 numbers. 017. Varnak went pale. He knew what that meant. Each revenant used a call number. It was supposed to be black file information, buried under Earth's most classified archives. Only one number was ever confirmed, 017. The ghost of Harrow Base, a myth, a phantom, said to be responsible for sabotaging the first orbital attack platform that tried to block Earth's moon, killed 300 soldiers in one night, evaporated without a trace. "Get me Central Command," Varnak muttered. "Now." The ship comms lit up. "Channel open. This is Captain Varnak of Recon Unit D3. I'm issuing a high-level alert. Project Revenant is not terminated. I repeat, they are operational, possibly active across multiple systems." Silence. Then the comms crackled. A cold voice responded. Not from Central Command, but intercepted mid-transmission. "You're too late, Captain." Varnak's blood ran cold. "Identify yourself." But the voice didn't answer. Instead, one of his soldiers screamed from another room. Varnak rushed out, weapon drawn, but it was too late. His team had been cut down, fast, clean. No gunfire, no struggle. He heard the footsteps behind him a second too late. Spun, and saw him. The visor gleamed with a dull blue light. "You weren't supposed to hear that message," the Revenant said quietly. "But now that you have..." He raised a blade that shimmered like starlight. "You can die knowing it was real." And everything went black. The Dominion issued a code Crimson within the hour. Across their fleet, panic settled into every command center like a fog. The message was brief, brutal, and unlike anything that had come before. Confirmed Revenant presence. Human Black Ops Unit 017 active. Status, hostile. Objective, unknown. Assume extreme lethality. No engagement unless authorized. For the first time in the war, the aliens were afraid. And yet, Earth said nothing. No counter-message, no denial, no claim of ownership. As if the Revenants operated beyond even their own government. Shadows with no leash. Ghosts of a war no one wanted to admit had never truly ended. On the Dominion flagship Zarkul Vengeance, Grand Strategist Rivak paced the war table, long fingers clenching and unclenching behind his back. He watched the holograms swirl, reports from outposts, videos blurred with static, dead comms. The survivors of the rescue team were few. One had clawed his own throat out after seeing something he couldn't describe. Another only repeated 2 words before collapsing into madness. "They're watching." The strategist's second-in-command, General Vell, stood at attention, his voice hushed. "Should we initiate planet-wide sweeps, sir? Begin rooting out human black sites? There may be more of them." Rivak turned slowly. His eyes glowed faintly under the dim tactical lights. "More? Of course there are more. You think Earth built one monster and left it at that?" Vell flinched. Rivak gestured to the display. "These revenants, they are what humans become when war eats away their soul. They're not soldiers. They're reminders of what we did to them, of what they swore never to forget." The silence lingered. Then a beeping interrupted the room. "Incoming transmission. Not encrypted. Not Dominion. A blind frequency." "Trace it," Rivak snapped. But the screen had already changed. A human face appeared, half covered in shadow. No name. No tags. Just a voice, low and precise. "You thought we were myths. You believed you wiped us out, but we're not ghosts." He leaned forward, and even the Dominion officers couldn't help but feel a chill. "We're your punishment." Static. Then nothing. Vell moved quickly to block the signal. That had to be a fake. Propaganda. They're trying to destabilize our... "They don't need propaganda," Rivak muttered, still staring at the blank screen. "They have the truth." And then, as if summoned by those very words, alarms blared across the ship. Infiltration detected. Internal hull breach. Rivak's eyes widened. "Where?" "Level 6, engineering bay," Vell responded, already pulling up the feed. But there was no feed, just static, until the camera flickered on. A single figure stood in the heart of their ship's core. Black armor, smoke rising off his shoulders. In one hand, he held a severed Dominion officer's head. In the other, a data shard. He looked directly into the camera. Then the feed died. No, that's impossible," Vell said, stumbling back. "He's on the surface. He's not. How did he get here?" But Rivak wasn't listening. He was already activating the ship's lockdown. "Seal the level. Purge it if you have to. No one gets out." Explosions echoed deep in the hull. Lights blinked out section by section. Screams bled through the comms. One by one, elite soldiers disappeared from the logs. Not killed, erased. Then another feed came online. The bridge. This time there were 3 of them, revenants, each standing perfectly still at the far end of the command deck. No weapons raised, no words spoken. They were already inside. Vell drew his plasma pistol. "This can't be happening. This can't!" And then his head snapped sideways, as if something invisible had struck him. He crumpled to the ground before even pulling the trigger. Rivak backed away slowly, claws shaking. "What do you want from us?" The middle revenant, shorter than the others, finally stepped forward. Her voice, smooth and calm, cut through the room like a scalpel. "You forgot what fear feels like. We're here to remind you." She pointed to the console. Behind her, Dominion ships across the system began detonating in perfect sequence. Sabotage. Planned. Precise. And Rivak realized, too late, that this war was no longer about conquest. It was about vengeance. 10 years earlier, Earth was dying. Not from war, not from disease, but from compromise. The Terran Union, desperate to avoid galactic annihilation, had signed peace treaties drenched in shame. Territories were ceded, outposts abandoned, billions of humans left under Dominion rule with nothing but a promise. "We will come back for you." They never did. The colonies screamed into silence as alien rule tightened like a noose. Families torn apart, cultures erased, history rewritten. But somewhere, In the cold shadows of Saturn's rings, a project was born. Off the books, untraceable, built from desperation and rage. Project Revenant. Recruitment wasn't voluntary. It wasn't public. It wasn't even legal. Candidates were chosen based on one factor. They had nothing left to lose. Failed soldiers, war criminals, survivors of Dominion experiments, test subjects with spliced DNA, human wreckage the Union considered trash. They were disappeared, officially dead, buried with fake obituaries and fabricated accidents. But underground, beneath black ice and void dark rock, they were reborn. Trained in silence, conditioned in pain, modified with tech Earth wouldn't admit it possessed. Armor that fused with the nervous system. Neural rewrites to suppress emotion, hesitation, doubt. They were not told they were saving Earth. They were told Earth had already betrayed them. And still they fought for it. Their only reward, vengeance. Not for orders, not for justice, but for the families they lost, the friends erased, the screams that never reached Earth's precious core. Unit 017, codenamed Silas, once a Mars rebel, was among the first. He remembered it all. The Dominion raid that leveled his home, the way the sky burned blue with alien plasma, the way his wife held their daughter too tight in a last embrace, the way the world screamed, and the way it went silent after. The Union called it an unfortunate strategic loss. Silas called it betrayal. In the training pits, he didn't speak for months, just killed, faster than the others. Cleaner, colder. They gave him a name, Ghost, but he never forgot his real one, and he never stopped counting. Every time a Revenant completed a mission, a mark was added to their armor. A reminder. Not a trophy, but a name, a person, a loss. Silas had over 300. None of the names were his. All of them were people he couldn't save. Now, standing in the still-burning ruins of the Zarkul Vengeance, Silas removed his helmet. The bridge smelled of scorched circuitry and alien flesh. Dominion officers lay scattered like discarded puppets. Behind him, revenants moved with calm efficiency. No chatter, no emotion, just the sound of finality. The smaller female revenant, 017-B, Kara, once a child soldier turned prototype, stepped beside him. Her voice was quiet, but steady. Earth still won't claim us. Silas nodded slowly. They don't have to. They're hoping we fail, hoping we die before the truth gets out. We won't. Kara hesitated. You ever wonder if we're the monsters now? Silas looked at her, then at the bodies. No, he said. We're just the answer. A long pause followed before Kara whispered, And what happens when there's no one left to answer to? Silas didn't respond. He just looked out the shattered viewport at the stars, and beyond them, Earth. So far away, so clean, so silent. The Revenants had no home, only purpose, and it was far from over. Suddenly, a Revenant in stealth gear, 016 Ash, materialized from the shadows behind them. Transmission intercepted. High command. Human Silas turned, eyes narrowing. Play it. A voice crackled to life in the room. It was calm, rehearsed, politician smooth. This message is for any Terran operatives acting outside authorized war protocols. The actions of the so-called Revenants are not sanctioned by the Terran Union. Cease all operations immediately. You are jeopardizing fragile peace efforts. Return, or be classified as rogue. Kara spit on the floor. Ash just chuckled. Silas listened to the whole thing. When it ended, he stepped toward the console and hit Respond. He leaned close, face emotionless. You left us behind. Then he cut the signal. No threats, no anger, just the truth. Then he turned to his team. Next target? Ash grinned beneath his visor. They just activated the orbital defense grid on Virex 9, Dominion Fortress, 30,000 troops. Silas nodded. Then let's show them what they really should be afraid of. And the revenants vanished into the dark. Virex 9 wasn't just a fortress. It was a warning carved into a planet. The Dominion had built it to stand for 1,000 years. Floating bastions orbited the sky like chained beasts, bristling with ion cannons and railguns, ready to tear apart anything that came close. Ground level, it was a maze of walled cities, bunkers, fire zones, and kill corridors, every inch designed to crush insurgency before it even breathed. No human had ever breached it. None had even tried, until now. The revenants didn't land like a fleet. There was no dramatic entry, no show of force. They came in silence, dropped one by one from black-cloaked pods that broke atmosphere undetected. Not even the orbital sensors noticed. Dominion engineers wouldn't even realize until 3 days later that one satellite feed had looped for 8 minutes, long enough for ghosts to walk in. The first sign of their presence was a corpse. High Commander Rythak, one of the architects of the Virex command system, was found hanging upside down from his own security tower, throat slit and his personal security codes etched into the wall behind him in blood. No alarms had gone off, no sensors tripped, not even the AI noticed. And from that moment forward, Virex 9 began to unravel. Power outages rolled through sectors with no explanation. Communications were hijacked with strange, cryptic messages. Entire patrol units vanished. Armories were emptied without forced entry. Surveillance footage glitched at the same moment across multiple zones. Inside the central operations hub, panic had bloomed like a sickness. Soldiers whispered rumors. They're already here. Revenants. Real ones. No one sees them. They just die. By the time the Dominion formally declared a system lockdown, over 400 personnel were already unaccounted for. High Command laughed it off at first, said it was psychological warfare, said the humans were just using fear as a weapon. They were half right, because fear was only the beginning. In the lower sectors, Revenant 016-Ash- moved through the ventilation system like smoke. He planted EMP charges with fingers that never shook, never hesitated. In another sector, 015-Nara, a silent killer who once survived a decade-long Dominion prison experiment, slid through steam tunnels, disabling turrets without a single gunshot. And at the heart of it all, moving like a reaper through the chaos, was 017. Silas. He moved alone now, his armor already smeared with Dominion blood. Not recklessly, but with purpose. Every room he entered became a tomb, every corridor a trap. His HUD lit up with mission objectives, but he ignored them. His real goal wasn't destruction. It was revelation. He found the data core buried beneath Level Omega-7, a classified vault only high-ranking Dominion tacticians knew existed. It contained years of war intel, locations of every Earth-controlled zone, names of every collaborator, the full list of human prisoners taken across the war, and something more. Files tagged Project Epsilon, Human Reintegration Protocol. Silas stared at them. They were plans, not for genocide, for conversion. The Dominion wasn't just conquering Earth. They were preparing to reshape it, not destroy the human race, but reprogram it. Integrate humans into the galactic system by altering their DNA, erasing history, eliminating cultural identity, slavery disguised as peace. His hands shook, an old echo of who he used to be, flaring up from deep inside. For a moment, Silas almost remembered the sound of his daughter's laugh, the way her fingers wrapped around his. And then he erased it. He downloaded everything. As he turned, Dominion soldiers flooded the vault. Elite squads, the best they had. They outnumbered him 15-1. He didn't speak, He didn't run. He moved. The camera feed from that encounter cut out after 6 seconds. None of the soldiers came back, and within the hour, Dominion Command broadcasted a planetary evacuation order. Not a retreat. A full abandonment. Virex 9 was lost. Back in orbit, Earth's Deep Space Command finally reacted. A lone message pinged across an encrypted black channel, addressed to Revenant 017. It said only this: "Silas, stand down. Return. This war cannot be won." He read it. He didn't reply. He turned to his squad, now regrouped in the upper levels of the fortress. "We're not at war," he said quietly. "We're cleaning up a betrayal." And the Revenants got back to work. Earth's skies had never looked so peaceful. Clean blue atmosphere, perfect orbital lines, no debris fields, no warships in sight. From above, it looked untouched, pristine, like the war hadn't even brushed its surface, like the colonies hadn't been sacrificed to save this perfect cradle. But below the quiet surface, Earth's high command was on edge. In the secure sub-levels of Terran Union headquarters, buried beneath the Antarctic ice, emergency meetings were happening behind triple-sealed titanium doors, the kind of meetings that didn't get logged, the kind of meetings no one would admit to, even under oath, because they were coming home. The Revenants, specifically Silas, and nobody knew what he wanted. General Lena Cross, head of Earth's Department of External Defense, stood at the center of the war room with arms crossed, jaw clenched. Behind her, flickering hollow feeds showed chaos across Dominion systems. Fortresses gone dark, communications severed, ships detonated without warning. All consistent with Revenant attack patterns. 15 worlds destabilized in under 60 hours, one officer reported. They're not just assassinating command. They're taking apart the infrastructure, targeting genetic labs, Dominion databanks, memory vaults. They're after truth. Lena stared at the screen showing Silas's last known location, Virex 9. "He's not doing it for revenge anymore," she said slowly. "He's building something." Another general scoffed. "What, an army of war criminals?" "No," Lena said. "A case." That shut the room up. She pointed to the data files now leaking from Dominion networks, uploaded anonymously, now spreading like wildfire across neutral systems. Video files of Dominion conversion chambers, experiments on human children, entire Earth colonies gifted to alien races for cultural realignment, evidence of Earth's deal with the devil. They'd traded truth for peace, and the Revenants were dragging that truth back into the light. Lena turned to her aide. "Any new intercepts?" "Yes, ma'am, but you're not going to like it." She gestured toward a console. A distorted transmission crackled to life, hijacked from Earth's main civilian broadcast network. Silas's voice, modulated but unmistakable, rang out over homes, vehicles, public terminals. "You left us in the dark. You called us unfit, unclean, unstable. But now you'll listen, because we are all that's left between you and what you created. We are not your soldiers. We are your reckoning." The feed cut. Across Earth, chaos bloomed instantly, protests, riots, people demanding to know what Project Revenant was. Families of the dead suddenly asking why their loved ones were declared KIA with no remains. And worst of all, whispers began to spread. What if they were right? That terrified the Union more than any alien fleet ever had. Back underground, Lena slammed her fist against the table. "He's going to expose everything, every dirty deal, every lie we sold the people just to hold this planet together." "So what do we do?" one council member asked, pale and sweating. "Send our own kill team? He'll see it coming. Negotiate? He'll laugh in our faces." Another voice spoke up from the shadows, a man whose presence didn't appear on the logs. Old, gray-eyed, the kind of spook who never gave a name. There's only one option, he said calmly. We use the Omega Protocol. The room went cold. Lena turned to him slowly. You want to deploy the Omega AI? The one we sealed for being too dangerous? You think unleashing that thing is a good idea? Silas is too powerful, too calculated. He knows how we think. But the Omega AI isn't human. It can hunt him without hesitation. No morals, no limits. It's designed to kill what we can't control. Lena was silent. Then, you unleash that thing, we don't control the fallout. You realize that? The man smiled faintly. Control was lost the moment we abandoned them. A soft beep interrupted them. New transmission, untraceable, a message burned into every military terminal across Earth. We're already here. And below those words, footage. Silas, standing at the gates of Union Command's Arctic perimeter, alone, his helmet off, face exposed to the world, tired but not broken. And behind him, barely visible in the blizzard, more figures approached. The ghosts were home. The blizzard howled across the Antarctic plains, a white curtain swirling over Earth's final sanctuary. But through that blinding storm, they came. 12 of them. Revenants, ghosts once abandoned, now returned, not as men, not as monsters, but as judgment. At the gates of Union Command, Silas stood silent, his breath visible in the cold, his face bare for the world to see. His armor, scorched and dented, bore no insignia, only names, hundreds of them, etched into the plates like scars. The perimeter defenses had long since locked onto him. Targeting systems tracked every heartbeat, every twitch of muscle. But no one fired. Inside, Earth's top military minds watched in cold sweat from behind reinforced glass. General Lena Cross stared at the live feed, unmoving. He's not attacking, she said. He's waiting. For what? Someone whispered. No one answered. Then a soft chime rang through the war room. Incoming request. Open channel. Direct from 017. Lena hesitated for only a second before she tapped it. Silas's voice came through, raw and unfiltered. No more tricks, no more shadows. I'm not here to burn Earth. I'm here to force you to look at what you buried. Lena spoke. Silas, you shouldn't have come here. You sent us to die, he said calmly. We died. Then we learned how to live in death. Now it's your turn to listen. She stood up. You want to tell your story? Fine, come inside. But the others stay outside. They are my story, he said. They come with me. Security flared. Protocols lit up red. Snipers across the towers braced to fire. But Lena gave the order no one expected. Stand down. One by one, Earth's most protected facility unsealed its gates, and the ghosts walked in. They stood in the heart of the command hall, revenants facing the people who had created and abandoned them. Soldiers who had become myths now face to face with the architects of their pain. Lena looked around the room. She saw the fear in her peers' eyes, the guilt in some, the denial in others. But Silas didn't speak yet. He walked to the center of the room, placed a small data shard on the table, and tapped it once. Holograms erupted. Children in Dominion cages, genetic scanners forcing DNA mutations, colony leaders trading their own for peace, files with signatures, Terran Union approval, every lie laid bare. We didn't know, someone muttered. Silas turned, slow and deliberate. You chose not to know. He faced Lena. You made the deal. You told us to protect Earth at all costs. Then you buried us with those costs. She didn't deny it. I wanted to keep Earth alive, she said. And we did. At what price? She looked around. We were losing. You know that. Dominion forces were at our throat. We had one choice, Surrender colonies or lose everything. You forgot one thing, Silas said. We were the colonies. The room went silent. Kara stepped forward, her voice soft but steady. We didn't come to kill you. Not today. That would be too easy. Ash grinned, cold and sharp. Number, we came to give your people the truth, and let them decide what you deserve. Silas looked back at Lena. The galaxy knows now. The files are released. The footage is everywhere. There's no containing this. And then he stepped away. Lena narrowed her eyes. So what now? You disappear again? Wait in the dark for us to slip? No, Silas said. We're done waiting. Another revenant tossed a small sphere onto the floor. It activated a real-time uplink. Screens across Earth lit up, hijacked for the second time in days, and the world saw them. The ghosts, the ones forgotten. Silas looked into the camera. This is what peace cost us, what your leaders paid with blood that wasn't theirs. We were the shield. You never asked what it cost to hold the line. Now you know. He walked off screen. The broadcast ended. 3 days later, protests crippled half of Earth. Uprisings ignited across colonies once written off. Soldiers laid down weapons, and the Union fractured. Lena Cross resigned. Others disappeared. But the revenants, they didn't stay. They walked out of the gates the same way they entered, unstopped, unbroken, and somewhere in the stars they kept moving, not hunting, not destroying, just watching. Waiting. So that no one, no empire, no government, no lie would ever bury them again. Because now the galaxy knew. The ghosts are real, and they never forget.